Welcome to the Be Honest Man podcast, a discussion among men of various perspectives on subjects from the taboo to the typical. This is episode 11, and we are back again. So, how are you guys doing today?
Solid. It's been a pretty regular day for me. Got some work done and played some World of Warcraft Classic, which has been what I've been enjoying over the last couple of days. After our nerd episode, the last episode, I just figured it was time to fully embrace that and play World of Warcraft Classic as the Wrath of the Lich King is nearly upon us.
Very fitting, very fitting. How's everybody else doing this week? What'd you guys get into?
It's a pretty normal week. I had my therapy on Tuesday. I found out that I have dangerously high cholesterol, so I have
Welcome to the club.
I've had to completely change my diet. I've gotten some medication to take, so I'm on a roll. I'm doing great.
Well, that sounds like it's more than you, Sean.
Yeah,
I was gonna say Sean had high cholesterol.
We can talk about numbers lately. Or later, I mean.
Yeah, I had like moderately high cholesterol. Like mine was high, but like just outside of like the range sort of thing. Sean had like high cholesterol, and it sounds like you have get your life together.
I have very high cholesterol. Yeah, I've completely changed my diet and started exercising, and
that's good because you didn't do any of that.
Look at this. That's awesome, man. It's good to hear.
And Sean,
It's been all right. It's worked a lot this week. It's kind of rough, and had therapy today as well. Also had therapy, so don't have much to report.
well, there's the theme, right? We talked about it. We preached it in other episodes. Go to therapy, do all that, and everybody's check-ins are, well, I went to therapy.
Well, it's just
All
kind
right.
of all. I mean, I've been out on the motorcycle a lot and working on that. That's
Yeah, it's good
I'm
weather.
playing Red Dead Redemption 2.
Mhm.
Doing the completionist stuff on that, trying to get all that done.
Could
Been
be
enjoying
playing
that a lot.
Classic with me.
I could, but I would feel like I'm wasting my time.
Why?
true.
Why?
I don't know, because I'm just not, and I'm not into it. Like I would like to play.
Eventually, it's just going to catch back up to retail, and you're just going to be playing retail.
No, well, I would enjoy playing with you or people or whatever, and that would be the only reason I would do it. That's what I mean. Like I'm not going to sit and play it on my own. So
Yeah, to each their own. I'm having a good time.
Yeah, and this week for me, just a lot of work, and trying to take care of the family, man. We got a lot of stuff going on here at the house, but we're pushing through, making it do what it do. So, but did work on my computer. It's been a hot mess trying to get this motherboard situation figured out. I've been piecemealing it because I am not rich by any means, so I'm buying one part, putting it in, buying one part, putting it in, and slowly trying to build the computer that I want. And having to take everything off and reinstall everything has been a pain. So I'm slowly figuring out things that I need as I'm trying to use them. So other than that, that's been it, man.
Building up to the dream PC.
There you go.
One
And then by the time I
piece
finish,
at a
it'll be
time.
outdated.
Yep.
Well, that's always. I don't want to be
You're
the
still
bearer of
using
bad
that graphics
news.
card?
I was gonna say I don't be the bearer of bad news, but the Ryzen 7000 series is within the next like 60 days, and the 4000 series NVIDIA GPUs are just like end of the month. So, yep.
I haven't upgraded a thing in my computer in like 2-3 years.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to until it dies.
yeah, I've still got a 1060.
Yeah, I got a 1080.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, if you guys are just doing 1080p gaming, right? Like if you're not going for 1440p and like high, AAA titles or 4K, like then you're fine, unless you want to
I
run
have no
300 frames
issue.
all the time. Yeah.
Nope.
So, yeah,
I'd
no
like
worries.
to hit at least 144.
Yeah. You probably need a new graphics card then.
Yeah.
Yeah. My graphics card has surpassed the capabilities of my monitors, and I'm not ready to pull that trigger yet. So it'll be what it is.
Maybe the 144s have gotten a lot cheaper these days.
Yeah, it's 240s are out now.
Yeah, you can get a 140 hertz monitor, somewhere between 180 and 300, depending on like the other qualities of them, like what panels and features and stuff like that. But yep, I have a 240 hertz Alienware just sitting on my table right there.
Uh-oh. Nice. Nice.
So, Wendy, what is our topic?
So today we are discussing the role as a protector and what does that mean and how does that tie into masculinity? So I guess the first question would be, what does it mean to be a protector?
Well, I think one of you married men who feel all protectory should talk about it. So
You don't feel like a protector at all?
no, I know that this is something that you guys brought up, not like me, right? So I just feel like you guys have something that an actual idea behind this, because I can kind of like say what I think that might be, but I'm sure you guys have a more formulated, like thought out idea for it. So
It's a pretty general term, really. I mean, it's, to me at least, it's everything from making sure she's physically protected, as best as I can. When she's at school, I can't do nothing about that. But like, even on like a very kind of, I don't even know, like a primal level, making sure that I'm physically capable of defending against and doling out violence if it is necessary, and the protection of my family, all from that very basic instinct all the way up until, making sure that I'm financially protecting our home and our lifestyle and livelihood, and everything that comes in between that, to emotionally and as far as relationships. And then we can get more into how that, as far as like I would say like your monogamous, your wife, girlfriend, whatever relationship, there's to me at least, it applies to a lot of other kind of relationships and how you deal with society, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Does anyone else have like a different idea?
Well, I do like the fact that you brought up it being about emotional protecting or financial protect. It's not just about a physical thing. So there's a lot more to it than just I'm going to stand in front of you and that's it. So there is a lot more to it, and I definitely feel the same as just keeping your person in a bubble, keeping
Yeah.
them safe, making sure that no harm comes to them through any means necessary. By doing whatever you have to do by any means necessary.
the putting them in a bubble thing made me think of those scenes from like movies where they're like, I'm trying to protect you. Just, I don't need your saving. Like, that's what that made me think of. It's just like you put them in a bubble and it's just like they don't.
Yeah, it's not just about like surrounding them, in a steel ball and just hoping nothing can get through. It's also preparing them for when you're not there.
Yeah.
Is also a part, Just
Yeah.
trying. It's one of those things where almost everything in a relationship can kind of be tied back into it.
Oh, for sure.
And,
I don't know, dude. My wife protects me.
so that's the other thing. I don't know, man. Like, I think anyone can be the protector. So,
Well, can it just be in a way like mutual? Like maybe this is like I don't know. This is probably like cliche or it just what popped into my head. It's like the guy protects, his significant other. In this situation, we're thinking like you're all married, so the wives, and like they protect you, but like from yourselves.
I mean, in my case, absolutely.
Yeah. But that's
It's
what
a
like popped
mutual
into
thing.
my
That's
head.
how I look at it. I didn't particularly have a whole lot to say about this topic in general, but it's not something I ever really thought about. So I think it's a mutual thing. We protect each other in every circumstance there is.
Yeah.
So if you were out there strolling around in the mean streets in New Orleans, right? And someone comes up and they're like, "I'm gonna beat you up."
We're
And they're
both
just kind
gonna
of
punch them together.
Oh, okay. That's kind of what I'm getting. Is like, do
jump-
you feel like it's your role, like that, like in that situation, in a realistic, real life situation, like it's happening right now? Are you going to step up and lay this guy out, or is she going to step up and lay this guy out? And then you jump into her arms and kiss her on the cheek, and she carries you back to the hotel.
That'd be great.
I don't know why they're staying at a hotel.
I mean, my wife is
it's a date night.
My wife can get aggressive.
I was gonna say, like, she's a very.
I know that if a stranger approached us while we were walking down the street and had hostile intentions, I'm sure we would both react in a similar way, and we would
Start
tag
blasting.
team that man.
I mean, I can see that. She is a very like strong, like independent, like I got this sort of woman. And not that,
Oh, yeah.
you know, the other ladies aren't, but like Mika is, there's just that one like personality trait that's kind of like, yeah, I fend for myself.
He
You know,
has
like
multiple stories of her like being close to having like someone pulling a gun on her and her friends because she's standing up for her friends.
yeah.
I've heard all the stories about her fighting off packs of wolves and stuff as well. So
Yeah. Strong woman.
yeah.
Yeah.
And out of all of our wives, she'd be the one I'd least like to run into in a dark alley with a knife. So
But she's
I mean
like
that in a loving
super,
way.
yeah, she's super nice. So like as long as
I don't-
you're not like on
they've got
that,
like this idea that she has like face tattoos and like a boot knife, and she's just carrying around like a
no, Mika's super nice, but I do think that she can definitely handle herself. Like she knows where to draw her line and to be like, no, like that's it. And so I think, you know, that's a good thing. And I think it's good for somebody like Chris because he's soft.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
I have very high cholesterol. If I go too hard, I'll die.
Yeah, so it's a really good balance due to
So he's
his
taking
health
I'll get my arteries,
concerns.
I'll have a heart attack.
I'm just
Yeah.
sitting here right now and I'm sweating.
But speaking of like the wife
Turn my fan on.
protecting us, I definitely do feel that my wife had, she helped me focus on my own health. You know, we were talking about before, men just kind of, you know, shrug it off, or we don't really care, or we, you know, it'll be fine. I'll look at it later. She really helped me focus on that. She's like, your doctor sucks. He doesn't care about you. He's not asking you the right questions. He's not, you know, you come in every year and you get refills, and then he doesn't ask you any questions. I did a blood panel. He sent me the results, and just said, have a good day, with a smiley face on it. Some of those points were out of whack, but no discussions were had. So those are the kind of things. She was like, you need a new doctor. This guy does not care about you. So she did help me focus on myself. So she's protecting me in that way.
Yeah, like I
that's
said,
one
it's
thing is. Go ahead.
it's just like it's such a general term. It can kind of come into so many things, which I think it might be. I'll let Chris do his thing, but then it might be kind of a good time to kind of break it down into more finer categories and discuss it from that point versus just jumping around from like, you know, my wife looks out for me and then it's like, well, I pay the bills, and then you know what I mean. So we'll get in the finer details.
I was
Go
just
ahead.
gonna say, our partners are just partners in general. In general, are gonna look out for your well-being much more than you're gonna look out for your own.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because the weakest link will slow down the herd, you know, and you got you got to look out for it. So they're looking out for you guys, so that way the whole pack doesn't get taken down by a lion.
That's fair. I could see that.
So on the next point, do you see yourself in the protector in a relationship?
Well, we've kind of got into that, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For Steve, so okay. So for Steven, let's break this down for you. You're dating.
Ish.
Do you see
Aggressively.
yourself as a protector in any of your relationships? It doesn't have to be like a dating relationship. It could be family.
I mean, I have
You
been.
keep Sean safe at night, and
I've had to keep him safe from time to time. I'll tell you what, but just in general, there have been plenty of times where I felt the need to like step up and do something. But I guess I've never stood back and viewed it as like, this is the role of the protector. To me, it was almost, and maybe this goes to the masculinity thing. It was just the like, this is what the right thing to do as a man is. Like, this is what I'm supposed to do. Like, I'm supposed to stop that fight. I'm supposed to stand up and say something to this person being inappropriate. I'm supposed to do that sort of thing. So I think it goes back to, and we talked about in a previous episode, where like I always had this I want to be a hero sort of thing. And so to me, it wasn't like one niche or specific thing where like I'm the protector in a relationship. It was just like I kind of want to step up and like be the hero for whatever situation that I'm in. So I guess I approach a lot of things like that, but not, you know, I guess I just don't think about it. I haven't been in that many situations. I've called out people for being inappropriate. I've called it that, but I haven't been like in a situation where I'm dating somebody and like somebody tries to do harm to them or something, and I have to like get up and do something.
Yeah, but that's like the whole point. Is it's not just that physical
Yeah.
like put up a defense thing. You know, it's that drive to look out for the people around you, not just yourself or maybe your immediate, family.
Yeah.
And that's, like you said, I mean, to you it's just kind of part of being with that hero archetype or just the masculinity in general, but that's everybody's got a different feel on it, man. Some people don't feel that it's their place to stand up for other people and they still consider themselves masculine. Which I think is a good reason to kind of get into this topic and kind of flesh out how we feel about it. To answer that, I mean, I think I alluded to already. I see myself as the protector in my relationship, and I'm trying. I mean, like my situation is similar to Indy, where my wife has definitely looked out for me when I won't or I don't, um, and it's always been that person I can fall back on. But I try to make it my role to be not just the physical protector, make sure I'm physically able to do that and or armed to do that if necessary or need be. Um, but again, financially, um, emotionally, all those things.
Yeah, definitely plays a big role in all of that. So, do
What
you think? Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you guys think you have? We don't have this on the list that popped into my head though. Do you think you have like specific strengths when it comes to like the way that you are a protector? And air quotes just because again we don't know. Like, there's not a hard definition. But for instance, maybe you think like, no, I am the best at being the physical presence protector, and somebody else might be like, well, no, but like emotionally, I think I'm really good at helping her through her emotions, protecting her emotions, or like financially, I'm really like, do you guys have an area that you think you excel in compared to maybe your other areas of protectorship?
Laser beam eyes.
Okay.
You don't like Marvel?
I'm pretty sure laser beam eyes existed before Marvel existed. Okay.
No.
I'm pretty sure laser PMIs don't exist. So
I don't think there's any one area that I excel. It's definitely like you said. It kind of comes without thinking about it. I'm not really like, hey, let me see what I can do in this area or that area. It's something that kind of comes natural and something that it's, I don't know, something you just do. I would definitely say, I guess, physical. I'm not gonna have my wife attacking or fighting anybody. If anybody's, I'd rather be like, hey, run. I'll slow this guy down or do what I have to do to make sure you can get away safe. And then when you get away, call 911 or something. And not for me, but for him.
I think we're all call an ambulance, but not
for
for
me.
So we're all tanks.
There you go.
No, so I guess to define a little bit, I guess like I think of it kind of like skills. Like I'm looking at my skill sheet. Like what am I best at when I'm in my class as protector? Situational awareness is something that has always been a very very strong skill for me. Something that I try to instill in her and anyone close to me. It's like be aware of what's going around, and it's very tough a lot of times these days when you have this drive to look down at this little glowing screen that you carry around with you at all times. But I think that's situational awareness is extremely important. It's something that I practice everywhere that I go. But
would you say that you lack sometimes in emotional awareness, or
no, that was going to be my next point. Thank you for bringing it to that because I'd forgotten. And I'm not going to say that I'm necessarily weak in that, but I know that there are things I can improve on. Like just off the top of my head, that was the first thing I thought of. Was like there are times when I may lose patience. You know what I mean? Like I'm very good and I'm responsive and I'm receptive, but after a certain point, I know that they're not all the time, and it's less often than often, but there are times where I feel it, and I'm just like, we've been doing this, and we've done this, thing, and I don't necessarily try to let it show, and if it does, she doesn't say anything. But I know that it comes up, that it kind of blows up to the surface. And that's not just from, again, that's this a lot of these things apply to more than just emotion, like our our love interest relationships.
Yeah.
Like when I see myself in that role, and I try to be in that role in everywhere I go, as like a physical protector, I guess. Situation awareness, keeping an eye on things and all that stuff. Like everywhere we go, I am trying to pay attention. I'm usually armed, I'm just, I don't know, that's just kind of something as I accept for myself. I'm sure it makes other people uncomfortable, or other people think that's, weird, or, whatever.
I know there are other
But
people in our group who do say that they have felt safer with you around. I will say that.
good.
Yes.
Don't
Yes, Steve.
Fly
narrow
into
your
this
eyes,
man.
Steven. Pumping
fix
my
this
ego
now.
up. I'm the best tank.
You carry a gun around. Like that's the
Would you
extent
rather
of
be
it.
with somebody who does not?
Yes,
If you're a
Yes,
trained
he
soldier.
was.
quite literally. Yes, we went.
talked about
We
that.
went
I don't
to
know
Wicked.
that that's the only reason.
We went to
that
Wicked this past
someone-
weekend as a gift for my mom. It was me, Sean, his wife Jessica, and my mom. And we went in, and Sean had to go back to the car because he was armed. Like, he had a gun in Wicked, and he tried to, and like, there was metal detectors and stuff. He saw it, was like, oh. And he had to leave and go back to the car because we can't even go to the theater without a gun.
Wait, I've done that with a knife.
Anyways, so I know that there's like, I can even think of times with Steven, where you go a certain amount of time, dealing with something that at some point, it's just a bad day or an off day, or something, and your emotional support, that like your ability to give emotional support wanes very quickly. And that's just something I know that I've noticed in myself, that I've worked on. I'm sure there's other things that I could think of if I sit down on it that I need to work on, that I'm not all that great at. But
This ain't the podcast for that, but whenever you want to do it, I got a couple things on the list for you.
very, very humble of you.
Well, I didn't say I don't have things too. I just said I got some for you if you want some. That's all. A couple things I'd like to point out.
No, that's all right.
Chris, what about you? Do you have areas that you think that you're more of the protector? I know you said that you guys are a little more balanced, but
I think it's pretty even. I'm probably better as an emotional protector, just because I have small arms.
that's true.
I don't own a gun.
That's true.
I haven't taken Taekwondo in many years.
Both of those things can be fixed.
Yeah, you can take
all three of
Taekwondo,
those things can be
and
fixed.
you can get bigger arms.
It's true. Yeah, I have to.
I will die if I don't get swole.
I mean, yeah, I might.
That's not how it works.
I have high cholesterol, so I must get tons of muscle, or else I will perish.
Someone give me steroids.
I've got to replace it with something. I can't just lose weight.
Yeah.
There you go.
I don't have a whole lot to lose. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really look at the whole idea of a protector as something that defines like your masculinity. Like there's so many examples like just that we've given tonight that aren't so much it's something that a man does because he's a masculine man, but it's something that anyone should do because you're a decent person.
I agree with that. A lot of the things like standing up for people or like looking out for others and all that sort of jazz. But, and I mean, just throughout history and a society, like that is what men
from a
do.
Traditional standpoint.
That is what men have always done in most societies,
But that's kind of like with this modern, I guess, look at masculinity is keeping in mind that I like to break it down into archetypes. And so you have, I identify and I want to be a masculine person. But that's different from me to Chris to Indy to Steven. So I may see things like being a protector, as very important. Being a protector, provider, whatever else we talked about in another episode, or that's the core tenets of masculinity. But other people's like, well, I'm not in a relationship. I don't need to do those things. These are the things that are more important to me that define masculinity versus just working solely off traditional values.
I think that's something to note there when I say, but that's how it's been. And the past doesn't mean it's right. I guess is the way that just to say that.
I don't think anyone assumes you're talking about that.
Yeah, I'm just
talking in that way.
saying in
someone
general.
might.
Yeah, somebody out there, trust me, they'll respond to the thing or something and be like, "Oh, okay, dude."
So that kind of leads us into the next question there. So do you feel that men being a protector is necessary in a relationship?
I wouldn't say necessary. I think chance of success is actually probably higher. And I'm just basing that off of like my understanding of what women like and what men they tend to get with and blah 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 blah.
Wants.
Yeah, what a girl wants. That's where I think is it necessary? No. I'm sure that it's not, and there are plenty of cases where that is evident. However, I think the success rate may be higher if a man has some of that like protector in him,
I think regardless of the relationship, whether it's two men, a man and a woman, two women, whatever, I don't think it's necessary that there is a protector as much as it's necessary that everyone feels safe in the relationship.
I like that.
I know that for me, my father is military, and I go off of what I saw growing up, and my father was that role. So one of the things that I do when I go someplace and like my father, we would go to sit at a restaurant. My father would never have his back turned to the door.
Yeah.
I would go sit in that seat. He's like, get up. And he had to sit so he could face the door because it was that military training. It was that protector role for him. It was, I can look at everything and keep an eye on things and, hey, get down, or, somebody's walking in doing something weird, go to the corner, go to the bathroom, or whatever the case may be. But he always had that in him, and I'm the same way. It just kind of carried over with me. So when we go out to eat, my wife knows that if there's two seats and one's facing the door, that one's mine. And I don't know. Like I said, for me, I feel it's necessary, but that's just in my situation, in my case, and from what I've seen growing up.
Yeah, I do the same thing. We'll go to sit and we'll just like, especially if we're on a patio or something, and she'll just freeze as she's trying to figure out which seat do I feel is the most strategically advantageous. Wait for me to make my move as I'm scanning the
acts like he lives in a war zone.
But it's a lot of times we talked about situational awareness. My wife and I both took concealed carry class, and the person who was teaching the class spoke about that. And just like Sean described it, people are so much into their phones. This guy was a police officer for a city that we live close to, and he's retired and also retired military. But he said so many times he've had people walk into a robbery, and then the robbery goes wrong because a person comes in, but they were on their phone walking into 7-Eleven while the 7-Eleven's getting robbed because they weren't paying attention. Now, this person also takes it to the extreme of, because he's ex-military, he says he looks at glassy or reflective surfaces on walls around corners before he goes. Before he gets in an elevator, he's looking at the reflective elevator to look back, make sure nobody's standing near the buttons. Like, he's taking it to the extreme, but...
I've never done any of those things.
But
well, he probably will now.
There's a tip. There's a tip
No,
for you.
I'm just kidding. I do those things.
Yeah. But
let me ask you, do this. To me, it kind of falls under the protector role. To other people, it's kind of more of just a manners thing. And I'll get to, I guess, why I view it as protector role anyways. But do you guys walk on the
outside
face against the street?
Closest to the street.
How to orient it. Yeah, that's I'm like,
closest
how do
to
I
the
orient
street.
this?
Yeah, I do.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll make it a point as well. I remember I was in Atlanta the first time for casting a gig, and one of the players' sisters was also at the event, and she was walking with us. And I literally, I kid you not, I pointed back and said, "Over." And just like told her, like,
I do that all the time.
Get on the inside.
I will literally, stop, and then she'll stop thinking like, why is he stopping? And I'll grab her by the hips and move
Like-
her over a foot.
I do the same
Yeah.
thing.
And I think I wonder, this is going to get to one of the other things that we have on the list, and I don't necessarily think, you know what, I'm going to bring it up now. How much of things like that are we doing for our own satisfaction versus an actual desire to help others? Like, how much of that is us going like, oh, I'm the man, like, this is, you're going to think that I'm whatever, versus like, you're honestly going, oh my God, if a car swings over here, like, it's going to hit this person.
I just do it because I feel like it's what I'm supposed to do. I feel like it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I would throw myself into the fire to protect
Mm.
her
Mm-hmm.
and push her to the side. If a car is coming, hey, boom, I'll push you out of the way. You're good.
Yeah.
And I'll take whatever comes.
Yeah. And so I think
it's heightened in me now that my wife is pregnant. I can tell
Yeah.
you, I'm way up
Brigante.
here. Yeah. So I've not ever concealed carried. I'm going to start. So I don't know. Everybody says, when you have a child or whatever, that goes up. So for me, like I said, I've changed a lot of my habits in my personal life for this child that's coming. And yeah, whenever I go anywhere with my wife, I'm heightened because I know
Yeah.
she's carrying our child. And
Mhm.
God forbid anything happened to that child, because I'll be in prison.
Yeah.
The baby got hatched, so now I stay strapped.
That's right. That's
So
right.
all of our gatherings, there's going to be so many guns, but
And you'll be protected.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We got it.
I'm not worried about it. The opposite direction now, I think. Too many people with weapons. But on that, though, I understand that point. I'm trying to go deeper. Like, I know that, like, all of us or most of us, would jump or push somebody out of the way or do whatever, right? What I'm asking, though, is kind of that ego check of how much of it is you want to be the guy who did that because it was the right thing to do versus it simply, plainly being the right thing to do.
I know the way I think about it. In the case of my wife, there is literally nothing I would not do for my wife, and I'm not doing that for me. I'm doing it because it's my wife. I love her, and I will do anything for her. Outside of that, it's case to case. I have no specific desire to do those same things for any stranger on the street. I'm not gonna, but if I did, it's probably more for me than it is for them.
Mm-hmm.
Just being completely honest.
And that's where
I'll
I
do
think
anything for my wife, and outside of that, I couldn't guarantee it's for anyone else's well-being.
Yeah.
I think that everything that we do has a bit of ego in it. It's a driving force, even when it's a very minuscule level. I think a lot of things, like what we were talking about with moving or being on the street side or sitting in a certain chair or any of these other kind of things that kind of get on autopilot. For the most part, so I'll use an example. I open the car door, pretty much any door, but the car door for my wife, 90% of the time, we go everywhere. Not getting out, but like going in. Like, she never has to touch the outside door handle. And it's kind of an autopilot thing. Like, it's so much of an autopilot thing that there are times when I'll go somewhere with Steven, or, I went to pick Greg up and take him to a job thing, and I open the door for him, But there's also that part of me where I've gotten compliments on it from people who saw me do it in the parking lot. Like, some old guy's like, hey, man, always do that. Never stop doing that. And I'm like, hell yeah, old guy. Props. Like, we're men's. We're doing our thing, taking care of our ladies. And there's that, like, am I going to do it anyways? Absolutely. Is it nice to get a little props? Absolutely. So there is that little bit. They're like, hey, maybe somebody will notice.
It goes to me, I want to be proud of the things that I'm doing. And I think rooting some things that might be scary, that might be brave, that might be whatever, and things that hit you closer to home can help. Right? If it's more attached to you in a way, like, that can sometimes help you go over that. It's like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to jump out here and for, this, I've thought about it. I remember being in high school and thinking about like shooter drills and how I would be the guy that would stop them. And I'm sure we all did this at some point. We're like planning, like, dude, I would get up above that freaking cabinet drawer thing, and I'd Spider-Man and drive down on him, and like all these sorts of things, right? You know, whatever it is.
Greg would have just blocked all the bullets with a sword and just grabbed them and broke their neck.
Yeah. Well, he's superhuman, so
we should have Greg on.
We should have Greg on.
I would love to get Greg's opinion.
We can't
on
air
everything
that.
we've ever talked about.
We can't air that episode.
It would have to be behind that would be for like subscribers only or something. And we'd have
to be an age check.
Yeah, it has to be an age restriction.
Yeah, and we'd have to put like everything you hear may or may not be true or false. Like listen at your own peril. Like take nothing for fact. It would be fun though. Shout out to getting Greg on. But I think most of us have probably at some point. Maybe I'm just weird. I've thought about all those things in those situations.
Yeah.
But part of it had to be where I'm like, if I'm doing this, it is for the fact that I want to save lives and I want to be, but I also want to be the hero. And I also like, that's one of the reasons that would push me is to be like, I'm going to be the guy who either successfully did it or went down trying. And that plays a role in me doing just a lot of the things is like, I guess in a way it's the legacy. Like I want my legacy to be good. I want my legacy to be something people talk about, something that people are like, oh, he did that good thing, which in a way it's ego, but it's honorable as well. I don't want to be known for bad things, right? Like I don't want to be known for being like this crazy. It's not just the desire to be known. It's the desire to be known to be good. And that pushes me in some of those when it comes to being like the protector and stuff in various situations. Like that is something that definitely plays a role for me is that little bit of pride and ego. And my favorite animal is a lion. It's like one of the only favorite things I have because they stand for like bravery and courage and all that, where it's like, all right, we gotta make this happen.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely that feeling of satisfaction and like you said, pride when you're doing everything to keep your partner safe. Mm-hmm. Even like you said, it just closing those doors or things like that, walking on the other side of the street lets you know that, hey, I'm doing something good. And I feel good knowing that she feels good about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I feel the same way as Steven, like I say this all the time, like at work, like I don't want anything bad to ever happen to anybody, but if someone's house is going to catch on fire, I want to be in my district when I'm working. And I feel that way with pretty much anything that could go on. Like if something bad's going to happen, I want to be there and be in a position to mitigate it. And I mean, just look at what I do for a living. I mean, obviously that's kind of, it's the same thing. Like it literally, I would literally die trying to save anybody, even my worst enemy, because that's what I do. That's my job. And there's 100%, if I do that, they better be talking about me, dude. Like I'm saying it like that is in there. It is 100% in there.
Oh yeah.
Well, Chris, you shook your head. So do you not like? There's none of that in there for you. You're like, don't care.
Honor me, Chris. Come on.
Oh man. No, I'm just saying if you know.
Chris said you'll get a park bench downtown.
No one's gonna be talking about you.
What the heck?
Oh, the guy you saved probably is going to talk about you. If he's your worst enemy, he's not going to give a shit.
I had a lady give me a lot of props.
Maybe that's a redemption arc. Why?
She said I was I just treated her really nice, and she hadn't been outside. She said this is the third time she'd been out of her house since COVID started.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for her.
And she's having some chest problems, some pains and other things like that, and we helped mitigate and diagnose and all that, but we ended up getting held up at the hospital because they're so busy, and so we're sitting there, we're doing that and talking and having a good time and joking around, and she just just super appreciative for her because she was stressed out, man. She had so much COVID anxiety because like she's done everything. She was like, one of the last things I remember happened was when that basketball player died in the plane crash, and I was like, man, that was pre-COVID.
Wow.
You're talking about Kobe Bryant. But and so she's so worried being in the hospital and all these things, and we've got patients stacked up in the hallways because they're so full, and she was just super appreciative. It feels good. She wanted to our names so that she could submit, a letter to our chief. She has memory problems, so she probably won't remember to do it. But it was a nice thought,
Yeah.
you know, and that felt good. Like, oh man, it'd be cool to get some recognition. I'm not ashamed to say that I like that, and I think that ties in to what Steven brought up. It's like I want to be the protector, but I also want to be
like known
there's
as.
a part
like,
of me that wants to be
as.
recognized for it.
Yeah.
Well, recognition is a drive, period. And lack of recognition is a deterrent, especially when it comes to workplace. Not even just being a protector, but when you're at a job site or anything like that, and somebody says, "Hey, good job for what you did yesterday. I saw you go above and beyond, and I appreciate it." Rather than you go above and beyond, your boss is like, "All right, so I need you here early tomorrow." Like, I was here early yesterday. You said nothing. You didn't even appreciate the fact that I was here.
Yeah.
So yeah, that appreciation definitely gives you the motivation and drive to continue doing what you're doing.
That's something that came out of a study on gratitude, right? Everybody's told when it comes to gratitude, they think of like writing down a list of things they're grateful for and doing all that. But the study actually shows people get the biggest boosts and all that sort of stuff when gratitude is shown to them.
Yes.
For things that they've done. Now, it can go in the other direction. You still want to be grateful for things, you still whatever, but the science has actually shown, or at least this study, which I don't know it off the top of my head, I just heard it in the Huberman Lab podcast, but it was basically saying that having genuine gratitude shown to you is like a massive thing to like help your day and help, which means though, not that you should just expect people to just be grateful for your existence and you know, whatever, but
Thank you
that
for
maybe
waking up this morning. You did a good job.
But that you try to live a life that makes people grateful for you, right? That sort of thing. And so being good to your friends, being good to your family, being, you know, those sorts of things, and hoping, of course, that they see that and that they're grateful for it. And they show that, that is, you know, something that genuinely helps when it comes to like, you know, mood and all that.
I am 100% motivated by that. It's not the sole motivator, but if I could earn something, if I did something that earns me a commendation or to be put in for something, put me in. I want those things. I want to be recognized. Like, I appreciate those things. They make me feel good.
Yeah.
I work for a lieutenant who's Eastern European and does not believe in any of those things. If I pull someone out, if I pull an entire orphanage worth of kids out of a burning building, just stacked up on my shoulders and save their lives, he's gonna be like,
that
okay,
was your job.
That's your job. That's what
job.
you're supposed to do. Why do you need a trophy for that? Not everyone needs a trophy. Participate. I'm like, all right, never mind.
And I get that,
ribbon, damn it.
but you can be like, you did what you were expected to do, but thank you. You know, but thank you. And this has gone off on a bit of a tangent, but it ties in. It's that there is that bit of wanting it to be known, wanting there to be somebody being grateful, which I think is important when you're the protector in a relationship. You want that person to respect that and to appreciate that rather than like take advantage of it or think like, oh, no, they're not, you know, or whatever it is. It's like, no.
I'm trying that hard to be a protector, and then they're like, oh, no, he doesn't do that sort of thing. And I'd be like, what?
Yeah.
You didn't see that thing?
Like if Jessica, literally, if you saw Jessica or heard Jessica say to somebody like, Sean doesn't make me feel protected or safe, right?
Oh,
like
bro,
that
in my world, bro.
That's what I'm saying. Like that would be bad.
I know for my wife, and this is kind of protector, but not really. But taking care of the house. So doing things around the house, making sure things are taken care of. She doesn't know exactly what I'm doing, but just be like, hey, husband, thanks for doing that. I'm like, oh, food.
For doing that thing. And he's over here like, oh, I was just staring at a wall. I was zoned out.
That makes me feel the best in the world. And so she knows, hey, if you see me doing something, just say, hey, good job. Great. Thanks for doing that. And I take care of physical touch. That's her love language. My love language is action. So we've established and figured that stuff out very early on. You know, I'm not a very physical person, but I'm definitely, I will do anything for you. And so we've kind of figured that out. But being a protector is one of those things that's part of my love language. So,
no, I think taking care of stuff around the house is, I mean, again, it's that, what does that do for the other person, right? It helps emotionally, right? When your house is put together and it's the way it should, and you don't have to worry about shit being broke or the house being trashed, like, emotionally you feel better. So you're providing that. You're keeping a roof over their head. You know, you're providing that, you know, and that's, I mean, you can't get much more protection than not being in the elements.
Yeah.
So there's everything you do can tie into it in some way. And it's just how you view it.
For sure. So do you think why do you think men feel that need to protect their partner? Is that something innate? Is that a caveman thing?
I think a lot of it is that caveman. Men want to be the biggest, the strongest, and they want to take care of everyone around them.
Booga booga.
Men are born that way.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's because of things that we've seen? Like I said, from myself, my father, the way he was. Had I not seen it, I don't know.
I mean, to an extent, everything that we do and say and everything that we are is a product of the environment we grew up in.
Yeah.
To some extent.
Yeah. See, I don't think Nancy really had any good example of that. But we both kind of managed to come to similar conclusions and how we
were poor.
All the movies were out back in a cardboard box with puppets.
I had to go down to the beach.
We watched that same what was it? Last Crusade, the Indiana Jones movies, because we got it for free from Pizza Hut one time.
He was
shit was worn out, bro. Yeah. That's who I learned. That's who I learned manhood from.
Shout out Harrison Ford.
Hell yeah! My favorite Indiana Jones movie, Last Crusade. Shout out Last Crusade. But yeah, so it is kind of funny. I think that I've always kind of had, at least like Steve was talking about, like when you're a kid and you're kind of running these fantasies in your head of how you're going to stand up, for the good of everyone around you and do things like that. Like, it's not like we had a really good example beyond media. And I don't recall necessarily having a specific things in media that inspired me to be that way. It's just how it worked out. I mean, my mom was a really good example of a parent and, making it happen, as a single mom. And maybe just the way she raised us, it worked out that way.
Well, I've
definitely honed that and adapted it and kind of chiseled it and made it better as I've gotten older and I've learned more and I've found out my own flaws and how to kind of whittle those out and bring up my strengths. But there was definitely a base there. I didn't have to work that hard.
Yeah, some of it is, I think, somewhat innate, which is, it's odd when you think about stuff like that. Like, how did we get that sort of desire? But I also think of times where, like, we were raised by a mom, right? But there were plenty of times where our mom told us this is the right thing to do. Yeah. Be respectful of this. Don't do that. This is how, that translate into some of the things that we do today, even if not all of them, because, we experience things differently as men and stuff like that. Chris, I'm interested in, because you had like that tough father of, don't cry, don't whatever. Where do you think you got any of your sort of protector things from? Just witnessing it from your parents since your parents were together, or?
I think a lot of it is innate. It's just how I felt growing up. I felt like I had to be in charge, and it's my job to protect the people around me, and that's just, I think that's just how it is. I think it's silly that we think like that, but I just think that's how it is. But I have a question for you guys.
Okay.
So everything that we're talking about, men wanting to be the protectors. Would you feel as comfortable in a relationship with a woman that would be your protector, someone that's physically stronger than you, makes more money than you? Like, flip the roles. Would you feel comfortable being the protected one?
I can tell you from my personal self, finances, don't care. Make all the money. I want my wife to make money. She's going to school to study astrophysics or something, and work with NASA or do some engineering. Make the money, babe. Make it. That's less work I have to do. I'm okay with sharing all of that. Even physically, even if she was physically stronger or whatever, I'm all cool with that as well. But I know I'm going to do my part to try to keep up, and that's what I would do. So it's not going to deter me. It's not going to make me feel any less of a person, but I definitely am going to do my best, my darndest to keep up and make sure I'm participating or trying to match that same level of energy.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it. I don't think. All right, so I'm going to go through it similarly. When it comes to like financial, no, because I don't know, and maybe this is like a bad thing, but I definitely don't want to. I have no desire to follow the stereotypical I make the money and pay for all of your stuff. I have never liked that. I have always been willing. I will pay for the dates. I will pay. But if I am expected to, if it is like you're the man, you're going to buy me things, you're going to pay for everything, you're going to pay the bills, that is not okay with me because we are two separate human beings. Especially if we both have jobs, because then it's like, well, where's your money going? Like, what are you doing? So in that regard, no. I would be so okay if I'm dating somebody who makes like a butt ton of money. Not a problem at all. Physically bigger and stronger, I don't know how into that I would be, but I think if I liked the person, I don't think it would be a big deal. It was just like, I don't know, because I've never tried to like get with somebody who was like super like built, in shape, anything like that. I've been with fit people, don't get me wrong, but just like larger sized people, I've never really gone for. So I don't know what that situation would be like, but I would think initially, like seeing it, I might not be attracted to it, I guess is the best way to say it, is I might not be attracted to somebody who's super built or whatever when it comes to that. But in terms of the finances, no. I don't know if there was another part or if that's basically like the two.
I think we discussed the finances things in a previous episode. I still feel the same way. Is part of me that would always like to be the person that makes more? Yep. Is that going to be the case? Absolutely not. I am close to the top that I'll probably ever make. You don't make a lot doing what I do. But my wife, the sky's the limit. She's also in school to do some fancy stuff. Much like I'm in a very similar situation to Indy. So like that, is it gonna end my marriage? Absolutely not. Like I'm all for it. Do your thing. Like I said, I'm gonna be honest. There's always that part of me that wants to be in the same level I am now, where I'm essentially the sole provider. And then as far as the physical thing, man, like to me, something that's important to me is like the balance in a relationship. Like, and everyone's wants and desires are different. But me, like I like the balance of masculine and feminine. As long as that's there, I'm not gonna be bothered. If the person I'm dating is, a black belt in jujitsu and a gold glove boxer and a quick draw and, is an elite special forces sniper and they're all that stuff, cool. As long as there's again that balance, right? Like,
yeah,
I prefer a feminine partner. As long as they're not like a mirror of myself, like
I guess that's the
just a
good
masculine thing.
The good way of looking at it, because I was trying to think like just somebody who's physically bigger than me, but no, it's like somebody who could beat you up, right? Like, could you?
They
and
just
it's
have
like,
skills.
Yeah, like if
skills.
she was like a pro boxer or whatever, all the things you listed out, like I don't think that would bother me all that much. It would just be like, okay, like I don't have to worry about it as much. Like if somebody tries to mug us, she's about to kick their butt, dude. Like
You pull out that family.
I'm gonna be like, stand behind me, and she's gonna be like, I already have them handcuffed over there. Like I've already done it. I'm like, oh, okay.
Why are you carrying handcuffs?
Well, Chris, some of us like to have a little bit of fun, okay?
There's a Family Guy episode where that was going on. When Lois took karate, it ended up being a black belt, and Peter would just go into bars and talk crap about everybody else's teams, and she would just beat everybody up. We tried to come at Peter. So
I like it.
So, at what point does it become a bad thing to try to be a protector or too much of a protector? Is there such a thing?
Controlling. I think that's the big thing. When you get so much, it's like when someone tries to like overprotect their kid, right? To figuratively put them in a bubble, or physically in some cases put them in a bubble. They're keeping them. They're doing so much to keep them from any harm that could possibly happen that they essentially just turn into a control freak and control everything in their lives and imprison them. And that's, I think, the extreme that you get to.
That's that thing that I mentioned before, right? Where like, I'm trying to protect you. It's like,
yeah,
you're not letting me live my life, sort of thing.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think when like not necessarily as a protector per se, but protecting people in general. Uh, like guys protecting other guys for doing stupid shit.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Like a guy like assaulting someone at a party, and his boys just like he's just having fun. You know,
Yeah.
he didn't mean it like that.
Yeah, I guess for me, like, I don't classify that in the same way. Although it's protecting
I'm
somebody.
saying not as a protector,
Yeah.
but
Which is
someone
as an
someone
act of
you know,
protecting.
quote unquote trying to protect someone.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, no, I agree with what you're saying. Like, that's definitely, like, that's a bad thing. Just like when I think about protection, I think the word protection makes it so I'm like avoiding all the bad stuff that could be
Yeah,
considered.
it's just an
Yeah.
eminently good word.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm
Well-
picturing all of that.
Well, think of it like this, right? Like you work with someone. I'll use an example, right? Say a partner of mine, super good guy, super straight laced, just good to the world, does the wrong thing, right? He gives this drug instead of this drug. He gives this dose instead of this. Maybe doesn't kill the person. Maybe causes some harm. Who knows what, whatever. And I don't, and he's worried about it. So I'm like, hey, bro, we just won't report it. We won't say anything. We won't, and maybe there's a negative outcome. Maybe there's not, but it's whatever. It's that sometimes you've got to step back and people have to take the consequences for their actions, especially when it's affecting other people. And that kind of role is like, man, I really don't want my friend to hurt, not just potentially fiscally because of losing a job or anything or being punished, but just like emotionally going through that. Like you may feel like I need to stand up for them, I need to look out for them, I need to protect them from any harm. And while in a lot of cases that's not a bad thing, in a situation where you're essentially preventing someone from getting the consequences of their actions when they're required, essentially when they're needed, then it can be, I think it's a harmful side effect of that desire.
I think there's also times where people want to help and protect other people when it's just not needed, not necessary.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those times where someone wants to do something because they want to look good for it.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes the
I
ego
think,
gets
I
too
think
big.
another great example of overprotecting, wearing 2 condoms.
Mm-hmm.
Stairs.
All right, well that's today's episode.
No, I was gonna say that if you are in a relationship or whatever, if you're in a role of protector, but you look at other people as less than, like I'm protecting you because you're not as good as me or you're not as whatever as me.
Yeah,
You're
like
fine.
I
You're
have a
below
gun,
me.
so like I'm better.
You're below me.
Yeah,
for
because I
whatever
have
reason.
a weapon.
I mean, how much of this is just inherently people thinking of females as the weaker sex?
That's kind of where I was going, and it's like, are you? What you can protect somebody just because you're trying to keep them safe or mitigate anything that may happen to them, but to not think of them as able to hold their own is, I don't know. I think that's one of the negative sides of that.
Yeah,
And it's kind of like
I mean,
Sean, you were saying before, where you want your wife to be able to hold her own when you're not there because you're not always there. So it's not like, hey, you're less than me, but it's like I want you to be able to do your own thing as well.
yeah, and it's not like that kind of over broadcasting of it. It's like I'm gonna be humble about it. I'm not gonna go around and obviously don't go around and like let everybody know that I'm armed or that like my intention is to be the protector. I don't go to every person I see in Target to be like, I got you. If anything goes down, look for me. Like you just have to fit. Like if the situation steps up, so be it. If there's no need to really, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of,
It's spreading your umbrella too far. It's
yeah,
it's trying to protect everybody.
project. That was the word. It's no need to project what you're trying to do or how you feel or your personality onto everything around you. Like just do your thing.
Yeah, and even with because we kind of keep bringing weapons into this, but with the concealed carry class, another thing that he said, was you can be in a situation somebody comes in, they're waving around their gun, everybody get on the floor, nobody gets hurt,
Everybody wants
the guy gets his cash, and he leaves. but you're like, hey, I can step up right now and take this guy out. You can do more harm
Oh yeah.
by presenting yourself with your weapon and get people. You can have people's lives ruined or ended because you try to step up and do something that wasn't needed.
You
So
wanted to be the hero.
exactly. So you know, being a protector can go wrong when you try to overstep your boundaries or go out of your scope. Sometimes it's best to just assess the situation. If nobody's getting hurt, lay down,
Risk
let it
management.
happen. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah. So you're not going to run around and, and like I said, that's for everything, not just, weapons and, but any
That's, I
kind of
mean,
situation.
I think the concept of risk management is something that in every role that we've talked about that falls under the archetype of protector, that's something that needs to be done.
Yeah. Whether it's finances, can we take the
Assess
risk
it.
in buying
Look at
this?
what yeah. I mean, do
Or,
I want to try and make sure that we have the money put away to take care of things if they come up and make sure all my bills are paid on time and all that stuff? Yeah. But we're also going to get Thai food regularly, okay? Like I'm not going to be like throwing everything in savings like, oh, we can't go do things to enjoy because it's that balance, right? It's that risk assessment.
so we were talking about partners being larger. Do you think that ties into men wanting to be physically fit, that role of protector?
Kind of. For me, at least.
Extent, yeah. I mean, guys in general, I think, well, most guys, I think, want to have, six pack, big arms, big back, thick chest.
Love a big back.
All those things but the six pack. That's what I go for. I just want to look intimidating. I don't want people to approach me.
Yeah, a lot of guys want that, and a lot of it is for, they want to look good, and the rest of it is because they want to be able to look better, stronger than the guy next to them.
Yeah, all of the above.
Not to
So,
say that there aren't guys out there that do it just because they want to be healthy or something like that, but
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think in general, yeah.
I think it probably plays a role in physically fit. So I'm not thinking like they want to be bodybuilders. I'm just thinking they want to be able to keep their breath if they need to run. They want to be able to lift what they need to lift and to jump how they need to jump. And like that's what I think of. Yeah, people who want to be a protector probably have the basics. They want to be able to do push-ups and pull-ups and run and those sorts of things. Like they want to be physically fit. That doesn't mean like models and aesthetic and stuff like that. I would think that it plays somewhat of a role, but there are other people out there who are great protectors and really care about that sort of thing, and they don't hit the gym. They don't, that sort of thing. So I think it's one of those innate things as well where, we tie it back to the most physically fit, that whatever were the ones back in the caveman days who were able to get the stuff done and, all that sort of jazz.
So I have a question that it's not kind of thought about, but if do you feel that your partner would if your partner asked you to not do any of those things, would you be okay with that? Would you stop doing those things to try to be a protector? Or would that be something you're kind of like I'm still going to have to do this. I'm sorry. If they were like, "Hey, I don't like all of what you've got going on. I don't need it."
In general, if something is bothering my wife and it's something that I'm doing and she asks me to stop doing it, then I will probably stop doing it. Because like I said, it's not so much that I feel like I have to protect my wife. It's more so I want her to feel safe. I want her to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
No, I'm open to it. There's certain things obviously that are kind of I feel are important and that we can discuss and we can manipulate how we go about it. Um there's been situations that have kind of straddled that line between like being a protector and being obsessive. Um Steven, cover your ears. But like, wanting, different firearms around the house or, whether it's like a higher caliber or like something for a specific job that might come across or having access in a different room or something like that. I kind of fall down these rabbit holes. And my wife's not a big fan of guns. And there's been times where, in my eyes, like all this research I'm doing and looking and thinking about stuff is like it's to do good, but to her it's just fucking stress. Like, and to me, to her it's like it's just bothersome. It bothers her, like emotionally taxes her, and that's the opposite of what I want, right? Like, if I'm still being obsessive of it, just don't do it around her. Don't subject her to being witness to it if it just makes her uncomfortable. So it's something that I've had to learn and I've had to adjust, even though I thought it was part of my role and that I was fulfilling part of my role. I still had to adjust it and change it because, like I said, it just made her uncomfortable. It made her not feel as safe.
Yeah, that balance is very hard. My wife is also in the same role. Like I said, we both took concealed weapons classes. We both went out shooting firearms very early on in our relationship. Had a lot of fun. She had even looked at, oh, I like that one. I want to get that one. It's got the nice color. I can put it in my purse.
Pink.
Yeah, it was like a teal color. She liked that
Okay.
Tiffany blue. So
Yeah.
she was very into it, and I don't know exactly what happened, but a switch flipped, and she went the total opposite. And it's kind of like, I don't really want to go to the range, or I'm not really excited about having guns in the house. So that is a balance as well that we're gonna have to walk, because she does appreciate feeling safe and me doing my protector role, but then also guns don't make her feel safe as well.
Yeah. No, that's
so it's
something
like
we went through.
That balance is, so she's kind of okay with it, but she's kind of not. So we're, it's something we got to work on and discuss.
And
that
that's
took a lot of time for us.
Well, I think the difference here is that Indy is probably thinking, okay, I'm going to have my one handgun that I will use for whatever. And you're like, how can I outfit my home to be a barracks or an armory?
Have you seen that headboard that you can push in and a shotgun falls down?
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
I'm just saying I can understand why Jessica's just like, stop. Like, you're turning our home into like a facility as if like SEAL Team 6 is going to bust through the door and you're going to have to fend it all. And
we're local, bro.
I know. They'll get there quick. You won't be able to do anything about it.
It's like whenever I get another tattoo, Mom's like, "Are you done? Like, more? Are you serious? Like, you want more? It's the same way with her. She's like, you have 3. I'm like, yeah, but Roland has 20.
Yeah. So another question here: is there a line where you feel the role of protector no longer applies?
Nah, not for me. Like I said earlier, there's degrees of variance. Like, am I going to protect everyone the same way? There's priority. If I'm in a mass shooting incident, my priority is the safety of my wife. Then the priority is safety of everybody else, and then me. And so I feel like it applies to everyone, just like I said, in varying degrees and hierarchy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would go with similar. Like, I'm not going to go to the same level of protection for everybody, because there are certain things that you would do that aren't like, this isn't life or death. This is just, I'm trying to protect you from a situation. And I don't know you, and I don't have the right or the, like, if you're not going to die, if it's not going to cause you bodily harm, or if it's, whatever, like, maybe I do take a totally different approach versus those sorts of things. So yes, if it's like some sort of massive event and there's this crazy, then like maybe the scope is
protecting
big.
When appropriate.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be completely honest, and I'm not gonna pretend like I'm some noble, chivalrous man, but I'm not gonna put my life on the line for every stranger on the street.
Yeah.
Definitely
well, we know
like
that.
a risk management situation.
He's going to wait for them to die and take their loot.
Yeah, he's going to run around looting everybody, dude. God.
But yeah, for me, definitely.
Well, that's illegal in real life.
Only if you get caught.
That's it. You don't need it anymore. But yeah, for me, it definitely would be the same kind of situation, risk assessment. But I do know that, kind of like the same line, I would protect my wife first. But I also know she would not appreciate losing me because I went to go protect somebody else. So there's that balance I have to figure out as well. She'd be like, oh, he saved me, but he died saving that other guy too. So now I don't have a husband or a father of my child. So
we've had
that is the kind of thing I kind of
Yeah.
look at.
My wife, obviously will probably feel the same way, but she just knows how I am. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I do it, what I do for a living obviously puts me in inherent danger
I
for
think
the benefit of others. So,
that goes to the idea of just viewing the world as bigger than yourself. And so, I would think in that situation, the only real response would be, but the person I saved might have a wife and might have a kid and might have a
yeah.
whatever,
I don't even think about that.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, that would be the point where, where they're like, oh, you're leaving your wife behind. And it's like, well, that person, if I would have let them die, then they would have left, their wife behind or their husband behind and stuff like that. And those are just like counterpoints. And
Yeah, as cliche as it is, man, like I wouldn't even think about it.
I think, and
like
a
if
lot
I
of
see
these,
someone in need or in danger or something like that, I'm just gonna act like that's just.
and a lot of these, it's one of those things where I would like to believe that I would do things. It's the actual situation where that would come out. Right. Like that's where things happen. There are tons of times where people think like I would do. I'm not talking about you specifically. I mean, in general. Right. I go back to the whole when people are like, oh, we don't have enough people with guns out there. And that's why these things are happening. But we all know that most of those people would tuck tail and run, gun or not. Because in the actual situation of life and death, of flight or fight, people are flying. Right. Like they're taking off. And so we can all, again, in my head, yeah, I'm standing up and I'm going down to save somebody. Until I'm actually in that situation or I've done it where it was literally life or death and I chose the possibility of death, until I know that I've done that, I can't say with 100% certainty, but I believe I would. I have been in situations where the outcome won't be as good for me if I do what I do here to do the right thing, but I do it anyway. But that's not the same as like there's a shooting and you're going to the bullets and not away from them, right? And so I'd like to think I could do that. But, because Chris said, like, oh, I'm not going to pretend I'm some knight or whatever. I'd like to think that I would be, but I don't know that. None of us do until we're actually in that situation, I think.
I can tell you, I would definitely have to, like I said, assess that situation. If it looks like it's going to be a 50-50 chance, I'm probably not going to take it. But if I look like things are tipped in my favor or the guy's got his back turned, I might take that. I might take that chance and try to give him a tackle or whatever, and figure something out, or be like, "Hey, let's get a plan together. Let's go get this guy while he's got his, he's distracted or whatever." But me running straight at the guy, like just screaming with a knife in my hand, running at him, like no, it'll definitely have to be a situation where I'm like, I think I can do this safely and make it out. But I don't know if I could just jump in and be like, "Hey, my life doesn't matter in this situation, and I'm just gonna do what I have to for the greater good."
Now, maybe not a knife, but what if it was an axe?
I mean,
would you
could
throw
throw
it
it.
at him?
you've seen me with battle axe and throwing. I'm about a 50-50. So
Ask
my
me.
odds still there are not very good.
Ask me. I would do it. I'd nail it
you
right
can
in
throw
the
your
freaking forehead, dude. I don't miss.
We hit those.
Yerp.
There you go.
Yeah,
So
I would
definitely
think
interesting.
that I would do that. I know there's thresholds for everybody on if they would and wouldn't and at what level and stuff. And I think it's reasonable to say that because I don't want to come across. I mean, the same way, just like again, harping on it. Chris said, I'm not going to pretend I'm a knight. The goal isn't to get on here and just be like, yes, we would always jump in front of, and we would be the hero, and we would ever.
But the willingness is there.
Yeah, the willingness is there. In the actual situation, like something crazy like that, a situation that, of course, I'm sure we all hope we wouldn't actually be in, even if sometimes that heroic thought comes into our head, then, maybe we rise to that occasion. But
yeah, no, it's definitely like I think I'm with you. I wholeheartedly believe that I would act in the situation if need be, but I haven't been in some of those situations. I've put myself in danger to save people before. Climbing a tiny ladder up a third-story window and getting someone out of a burning building. But that's a very different situation than negotiating a mugging in an alley that you walk by,
Yeah.
or something like that. I don't know. It's everyone gets a different reaction in different situations. You could be we had a situation outside Ace once, and some gentlemen, we were playing wall ball, and some gentlemen approached us with a gun, and Remember Steve-O the whole time. He never stopped talking.
Nope.
He went, that man just said, all right, buddy. Okay, buddy. All right. And this guy was probably like, oh my God. Like, why won't this guy shut I want to shoot him just because he won't shut up. But that was his response, bro.
We always had different views on this because I thought Steve-O handled it like a boss. The fact that he was so just like, okay, buddy. Just like buddied him. Like the dude has a gun. And you're like, okay, buddy. And I'm just like, God, dude, that's BA.
And this is not me saying that he reacted, like that he sounded weak or scared or anything like that. I just think that, did he sound somewhat confident? Yes. Was it a kind of panic reaction? Yes. I don't think he
I
was
only
just like,
heard, yeah. And again, we just viewed it differently, but I only heard like, okay, buddy, just like confident, just like, yeah. I can handle this situation. Like that's legitimately how I heard that, was I can handle this situation. I always thought that was just like, holy cow. Like we literally had a gun pulled on us and my dude's just like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, everybody, it's different, and different situations are going to dictate it. You know, it wasn't a protecting situation, but the first time I got robbed, I was on my knees in someone's freaking yard with a gun held to the back of my head, and I kept lying to them. They were like, pull the money out of your pocket. And I pulled the money out of my pocket. I was like, that's it. And they were like, I know you got more. And I pulled more out of my pocket. And I was like, that's it. And we did that like 10 times. And for some reason, my brain just went into like, just end this now. Like, that's all I have, you know? And I legit just lied to these guys with my life in their hands for no reason. It was autopilot lying. Probably not healthy. But you don't know how you're gonna given I was, 16, so like, my life experience, my life view, my confidence was very different than it is now, and there was no one in danger but myself. But yeah, you don't know how you were gonna react, because you would, the second time that happened to me, it was a little less precarious. The gun was pointed at the front of my body versus the back of my head, so it was a little less stressful. I just sat there. I was leaned up against a Coca-Cola cooler. And I just told him I can't open the register. That was it. I just sat there. So it's, every situation's different. Steven's 100% right. We have an ideal of how we would act, how we would go into protector mode or whatever. But until you're there, man, you could trade for it. And that might help, but it's not going to decide, how it pans out.
Yeah.
Yeah, your body's definitely going to decide for you.
Unless you're Chris. He's already decided. He's like, I'm not doing it.
Said, I'm gonna watch
there's a line. It's a very thin line that I'm willing to cross.
I think Chris will be the surprise hero.
I'm saying, if it sounds like a shooting and it looks like a shooting, I'm going the other way.
He's like that thief in the party, like in the movie or something, where like the shit's going down and everyone's like, help us, and he like runs away, and they're like, oh no, I knew we should have trusted him, and all of a sudden he comes back and he's like cutting you out of the spider web, like, you are a hero.
I don't know, I think I have more faith in Chris. Like, at a point I think I would have agreed with you, but the longer I've known Chris, the more I've realized, like he really would be like,
well, see, that situation is different. If it were like the four of us in trouble, yeah, I would be willing to do a lot more than I would be for the guy that lives down my street.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Still a pretty low bar, I think, but it would be more than the other guys.
Any bar is higher than 0, so you
it's like those guys I don't even consider. You guys I kind of consider.
Yeah.
I'm not on a podcast with that guy.
Yeah.
I'm going to roll a dice, and we're going to see what happens.
All right, so with that being said, we have discussed today the role of a protector and what that means to us, and how we feel that role fits us or doesn't fit us. But let us know your ideas and thoughts on this down in the comments below. And as always, you can find us on Be Honest Man Podcast. Check out Instagram. We've got TikTok. Find us anywhere anywhere you are. And until next time, that's it. Until next time, be honest, man.